Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody.
What's up?
Welcome to the 127th Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with my main man, Andrew Normand. That's right. Today's topic is the spiritual principle of conscience. Can you share what this means to you, Andrew, and why you're happy to discuss this topic here today?
I would love to. Good to see you, Milan. 127, that's freaking nuts. But I love you, and this is kind of an impromptu one, and I'm super, super excited about it, man.
Me too.
So when I came into recovery, let's just say I was completely unconscious. Let's just say that. We talk about conscious contact and all that stuff, but I wasn't just, I wasn't even, and I wasn't unconscious from just the physical drug part of it too. I was unconscious spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, the whole deal. And I wasn't present. I wasn't aware. I was in that survival mode that we talk about all the time. And what recovery has done is it has given me a chance to wake up, it gave me a chance to wake up and be aware and finally become aware of what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, how I'm acting, why I'm acting that way, and actually give me a chance to understand who I want to become as a man now, post addiction. So conscious, in terms of like exactly what it means, refers to an individual's inner sense of right and wrong, which can obviously be a powerful force in building and fostering healthy personal growth and overcoming addiction and staying clean long term. I mean, that is what it is. We talk about staying present and that conscious contact. It's that inner moral compass. It's that little voice in our head that tells us what right and wrong is before we even are able to think about it. And then it guides us into our thoughts and into our actions. The awareness to self, self-awareness. It's awareness to self, right? Involves a level of self-awareness, allowing us to understand our own character and actually know what our emotions, what our desires are, why they're that way. And then, going into this thing, if you want to stay conscious, connected, we've got to stay present, stop worrying about the past, the future, and all that good stuff. But it means I'm no longer a victim to my past either, right? If I'm staying conscious, I'm not worrying about all that shit that I think people owe me apologies for. Today I consciously live in love. I consciously live in honesty. There's spiritual principles. My conscious is shaped by spiritual principles. We do a lot. All these podcasts are pretty much on these spiritual principles that we're trying to chisel our life around to be able to work into our lives to be better people. Whether you think we are or not, like we're doing what we have to do to be better because we were not good people, most of us coming into this thing. So we're making up for that. And part of that is being able to stay consciously connected, being a conscious person. There's conscience and then there's conscious recovery, right? So there's a lot of things that we can really decipher and talk about, man. And I'm really excited. When you hit it with me last night, I was kind of like, and then I started looking it up and kind of thinking about it. I'm like, wow. This is a big one, and I love you.
Yeah, and so I want to clarify. Are you doing conscience or conscious?
No, conscious.
Oh, you're doing conscious, and I researched conscience. It's okay.
You sent me conscious, but they're both.
No, dude. I'm okay with being wrong.
Yeah.
I
even looked it up. Okay. What you wrote.
So this is going to be about conscience and conscious.
Okay, that's cool. That's great. That's great.
And I do think that the two are slightly intertwined. I mean, acting consciously, right? Yes. I would be acting with the awareness of what's happening in my conscience, And
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
so for conscience, it's the quiet voice, like Andrew was saying, our inner compass that helps us distinguish from right or wrong, not from fear of punishment, but from alignment with spiritual truth. It's shaped through working the steps, listening to others, developing humility, and growing in emotional and spiritual maturity. And as the Living Clean describes, conscience is not about rigid morality, but an evolving sense of integrity. Like, I
Yeah,
loved that sentence.
yeah, 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 yeah.
12 steps and 12 traditions remind us that conscience becomes more powerful when it's connected to the higher power, the conscious that Andrew was just speaking of, guiding not just what we do, but how we live. When we honor our conscience, we walk in freedom, not because we're perfect, but because we're honest, awake, and willing. And even in my darkest days of my addiction and my action, it was like I knew I was forking towards not living
Yeah,
principled. Like I
yeah, yeah.
knew when I was doing something wrong. You know when something's dishonest. You know when something's hurtful. And the only way you're surviving your way through that is to mask it with more substance.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and today, you know, I'm feeling the pain of taking away these scars on my heart that have built up there from that action. And the
yeah,
way I'm doing that is by doing my steps, by becoming aware of it, by making my amends, and by living differently. And I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah.
leave that there. And then
That's
we're
beautiful.
going to have a mixed bag of questions today.
Bro, I'm so sorry.
No, no,
I uh I think it works well though. It really does.
I'm not opposed to it. You know what? Yeah, but I was like, he's he pronouncing that wrong? And then I'm like, he's not. I'm like, he's on that path. And then I'm like, well, I'm just gonna clarify this so that the people out there don't think these are two crazy mother effers.
No, we are though. We are though.
We
We
are.
are.
We're
But
crazy enough to change directories of a podcast while
let's
recording.
not get this twisted. We're crazy as hell. Let's not
Yeah.
get this twisted. All right,
Okay.
so
Yep.
let's go. Look, so then there's a lot of it's the same. So what does being conscious in my recovery mean to me today?
That's
You.
the question for me.
Yes, the question.
That's the case. Okay, so being conscious in my recovery today means that I am trying to live in this present moment. And in this present moment, consciously, I am actually not ignoring the present moment as it is delivered to me, but also what my actions are in it. Like I'm trying to live consciously, and I would say that you know could be closely tied to mindfulness,
Yep.
and that you know that mindfulness of actually speaking or acting with intention. You know, I'm consciously deciding to stay straight. How do I do that? I follow I follow this program that was so beautifully laid out 90 years ago uh, to change my life. And you know, like I'm consciously deciding every day to live a life in recovery and not a life in addiction.
Yeah.
And so that conscious decision then precipitates many more conscious decisions and in physical, mental, spiritual, and in health, everything, you know. It's not like my conscious action is one thing. It's remaining present in all those things and making sure my things are not falling behind on any of them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm not
beautiful.
sure if I answered the question, but
You did.
I feel like that was kind of the
Oh yeah.
direction of what was going
Oh
on.
yeah, man.
But I
Oh
love you
yeah.
anyway.
I love you
Happy
more.
Sunday.
Yeah, man. Happy Sunday to you. Good to see you on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So what is being conscious in my recovery mean to me today? Um, it means I'm awake finally, man, and I'm aware, right? I'm aware of every day and everything that I have going on in my life, right? It's kind of like it's an awareness that I didn't have before. You know, I didn't have this awareness. I think when I was really loaded up, depending on what drug I was on, I could have a keen awareness, right? Like that's the only time I really felt keenly aware was when I was I was loaded. You know what I mean? I felt on top of the world. You know, my senses were going, and I really didn't understand. You know, now looking back at it, having done some research, like I was just burning those things out, right? I was just running them on supercharged for no reason, and then once they fizzled down, like where we at? Where we at with it? So today, being conscious in my recovery means being present, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, being tapped into my mind, body, and soul right now. You know what I mean? I got off work and work is done. I'm not worrying about work anymore. I used to like worry about that shit. Like it was gonna, like I could change what happened today, by thinking about it. Like what, and I'm just burning time in the present moment in terms of what I can do for myself going forward. If I'm worrying about shit that is like that time is expired, right, at my workplace for today. And so my mind didn't really understand that I was just burning tires upstairs when I was in active addiction. But I guess we just look for shit to burn. Like we said the other day, we'll have all these things, a list of 15 things to do, and we'll end up rearranging the fork drawer for all night and not get anything done. We think we're doing things, and then people call us the whole time. We're busy. We're busy the whole time. Look, I was busy the whole time. Get up. Why are you calling me? I'm busy as shit. Leave me alone. I'll call you tomorrow when I get done with all my shit. And it's just funny how we get into that. So being conscious also means that I take accountability for my actions too, man. That's what I have down, man. And taking accountability for my actions. I don't just react anymore. I reflect. It's not about reaction. It's about reflecting. It's about reflecting and be able to move forward with a wise decision on how I want to maintain my spirituality. Is there a physical aspect to what I have going on? I want to stay tapped in mentally because I have mental issues, man. This is a mental disease, and a lot of us have mental issues outside of the disease too. So we're trying to blend this whole thing together and be better people. And when we have all these things coming down on us, it can be real easy to get down on ourselves. So with that, another layer of that is I try to live with intentions. Whether it's my words or my actions, I try to live with intentions and not like go through the motions, man. I'm not in Groundhog Day anymore. That hamster wheel that I used to get up and roll around in every single day. And when I was done with it, it was like, wow, I got through another day. Like I was proud of myself because I lasted another day. And that's crazy. It's crazy because I'm like, hey, I'm alive and I lasted another day. And maybe I have enough to get up in the morning without going too crazy or stealing something from somebody I love. You know what I mean? Like that was the norm for me. And that's a wild place to just live in. It's really nothing but turmoil. So being conscious is just being awake spiritually. Let's say, as the kids say, woke, being spiritually woke, if you will. I hate that word, but being spiritually awake, working my steps, continuing to work on my steps. Like when you get done with your steps, you can work the steps again. By the time you get through them, you're a different dude. The next time when you start that next set of steps, that's a different person starting that second set of steps. And so it's a mindset. Being conscious in my recovery is a mindset that I have to train myself to live in. Because I would use drugs to not be conscious, right? Like in my active addiction, I would run from being connected to anything that was real. I don't know if you can relate to that, but I would really just when I left the video game, I needed to get right back to it, or I was completely out of my fucking mind, man. I was just out of it. I was lost. And I was not acting like a normal person at that point, right? I was not making wise or rash decisions with any kind of spiritual nature behind them or anything. So I'll pass that to you, man, to ask the question.
Yep.
Love you.
Okay. I love you too.
I turned my light on so you can see me now. I'm sorry. I had my light on the whole time.
I was like, he looks a little shady today.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Hey, guys.
I was like, man, is this Coulter on here?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Number conscience is not the voice of shame. It is the whisper of truth that invites us to live with integrity. How do you know when your conscience is speaking, and are you listening?
How do I know when my conscience is speaking and am I listening? Well, that's a really good question. When I think about that, now that I'm in recovery and I got some clean time under my belt, I pray a lot, Milan. And so and so I really, really follow that gut reaction that I get. I'll get a gut reaction on something, and whether I have something to gain out of that situation or whatever, if I get a bad gut feeling about something, I tend to back out immediately now. Because I'm confident in how I've been maintaining these good decisions and maintaining my good and healthy recovery and staying tapped into this to my fellowship and to my people today. Um, is that going to be the right thing to do every time? No, but I know that I'm doing the right shit. I'm doing, I'm practicing goodwill, doing the right thing when anybody's looking, regardless of who's looking. I understand that my God, my higher power, who I choose to call God's, always watching me. So, and when I do something, or if I don't do that little act, and I look past it, like I feel the opposite of that good conscious feeling. Like I feel it's like a it's like a gut punch, man. It's like somebody kicks me in the nuts. Not like physically, but like you get that. It's like a quiver in my stomach, in a good way or a bad way. Um, if I'm doing something wrong, or if I bypass doing some kind of act of service or doing something right for somebody, or picking up that piece of trash because I know that like the trash people got to pick it up, and they're people too. I get a bad feeling in my stomach, and it kind of rots me from the inside out until I can make up for that some way or somehow. And that just goes with being an honest, good person today, right? I think, and good things, when you're doing good things and you're moving that way, um, emotionally, physically, like they all tend to bring good things with them, and good emotions, and good people follow what you're doing. um, you're not going to attract those bad people in that negative aspect of society that you're not looking for anymore. Hopefully, you know, um, awareness to self, the recovery, plays a huge role. What did I have written down here from something? Make it, the amends process. Making that amends process. If I'm not doing that, if I'm not like you are, like you're a hyper amends man. You're step 10 Starcic. So I'm that amends process. I don't want to have to do this big amends process anymore, man. So I'm conscious. I'm conscious to that, and I'm connected to the fact that, like, I hate paperwork.
I love that.
I hate paperwork, man. And the amends process, when you for the first go around, that's a lot of paperwork. I don't care who you are. That's a lot of paperwork because somebody cares about us enough to have shown us the way or picked us up enough to get us into these rooms. So there's some people that we got to make amends to. I know that for a fact. But yeah, it's a lot of paperwork. I hate paperwork, bro. It's like paperwork on a typewriter. It would be real hard. If you would answer your question, please, sir. I
Yes,
love
I
you.
would. Conscience is that. What was that, my main man? And
Oh, I see it. I see it.
conscience is not the voice of shame. It is the whisper of truth that invites us to live with integrity. How do you know when your conscience is speaking, and am I listening? There's a couple things about that I loved that you touched on, was kind of like the physical sensation side to it. One thing for me is that when I'm doing something wrong, it's almost like my jaw will clench. My heart starts kind of beating in my ears. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, well, like I'm going in the wrong direction. And guess what? There's actually, like, when I'm doing something right feeling. I know it took me 51 and a half years to finally feel that, but it actually happens. And it is it is like the feeling of walking out of a nice massage. Not a deep tissue massage, but like a nice massage where you're, and you kind of like your shoulders a little bit loose and your face is hanging down, and
Yeah, deep tissue's
somebody's like,
uncomfortable.
oh, I just bumped into your car, and you're like, what? I don't care.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I got insurance. It's cool. I got insurance.
And that is, you know, to me, like the physical kind of sensation of doing the right thing. And I'm starting I'm starting to anticipate like, looking at what's happening, I'm starting to anticipate almost sometimes when the wrong thing's coming.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like I'm like, whoa, this is going this way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like I'm not just at the fork of the road making the choice now. I'm
Yeah.
actually seeing the fork a few blocks away. And the beauty about that is it gives me time to roll that shit around in my brain and to be like, whoa, no, that's no, whoa, like,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
wasn't there before. Like,
It's like an internal fire alarm. It's like an internal alarm. Like,
yeah, yeah,
you just
yeah,
got to kind of back out before it gets a little louder. The quicker,
yeah.
like the closer you get to it, it's like, all right, I need to really back out of this thing. There's probably a snake around the corner. I need to figure that out.
And like the are you listening? I had a really fork in the road moment on Thursday in the afternoon, and I was like, either I am going to sit in this defect, or I'm going to surrender this and move on. And if I don't surrender this, this is opening the door to say that defect's good forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was amazing. It
That's
was
dope.
amazing to actually consciously surrender something like
Yeah,
that. Like where I'm like, I saw like, here's the good, here's the bad. And I can honestly say that I was really happy that I chose the better thing to do.
like you can almost physically look like choose the one or the other almost like all right, we're gonna make the right decision and breathe once you make that right decision. It's really cool, man.
Well, that's it. I mean, it wasn't like, but the thing was, is making the decision to let something go, like to surrender it, it really takes away half the power of that thing almost right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it getting that far to my consciousness changes my consciousness in itself
Yeah.
right there.
It's like if somebody were to be sending missiles over here to our area, like it's like our air missile defense mechanism or whatever. It's like we shoot it up there before it stops. I don't know. It's something
Yeah.
that I thought. It's kind of crazy. You ready for
Yeah.
my question, my second
Yeah.
question?
I'm
All
totally
right.
ready.
I actually really like these questions, how they intertwine with everything we're talking about.
It is actually fun.
How do you know when you've drifted into unconsciousness, Milan?
Ah, okay. I have to start saying sorry more often. Like right away. If it's got like if it's drifted that far, and if I like and if I've drifted to unconsciousness, I think that I'm probably not taking care of myself. Like for me, you know, I love running my program. Like I love it, but I'm still so absent-minded that I need to be really consistent with it.
Yeah.
So when I start acting unconsciously, I'm like straying from my path. Like if something is replacing my 6:30 event in the morning, then that 6:30 event's probably not getting done.
Yeah.
And because it's one of the things. Like right now, I'm finding I have some days that are really messed up because it's so hot where we live. Like I have this very small window in the morning to walk, and the hotter it gets, the smaller that gets, and I have no time later in the day. So then all of my other morning stuff gets shuffled around to try and maintain my physical health. But then it's like, what's my spiritual condition like? Am I like, do I got enough to get a daily reprieve? Hey man,
Yeah.
do I got enough here in my hand to buy myself some daily reprieve? Yeah,
Please.
but it's really true for that. Like, and sometimes that's my first sign that I would be doing things unconsciously.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right, Andrew,
Yes.
ask yourself how. Step 10, Starcic. That was a dope answer. I love your
What's that, my
name.
main man? And
So how do I know when I've drifted into unconsciousness? Well, when I stop paying attention to my inner world, if you will, right? My like there's a whole world going on inside here of this meat suit that I walk around in, you know, and I have thoughts and things like that. And when I stop checking in with those thoughts, you know, um, it's almost like the doorman to my thoughts. My conscious is like the doorman to my thoughts. I gotta like check in to make sure that they got IDs and they're old enough to be in this club, you know. And if not, I gotta kick them bitches out, right? I started thinking about like what does the doorman do? What does the bouncer do? He's gonna kick you out, man. If you got a fake ID or you got the wrong ID, you're not old enough to be in that club, which is like what all those thoughts. And you know, if I drifted into that unconscious area, I know that I've left myself open to having some of those old thoughts that I used to think about all the time, every day, all day for decades, you know, decades with an S. You know, when you do something for 20, 25 years, man, everything that you know revolves around that, right? Because when we don't have that, we have a big problem, and everybody around us has a big problem. Whether we want to accept that or not, I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to accept that. So I got to pay attention inside. Um, you know, I can't isolate when I find myself isolating. You know, when I find myself isolating, I'm doing that unconscious act that I used to do back in the day, you know, and I can't drift into that. And here's a big thing I have written down. When I start when I'm reacting instead of responding, right? That's a big difference. To react and then respond instead of responding, right? Like it's just like we can wind up in jail or dead if you just react. Right? If you respond, that means you've actually thought about what your actions are going to be before you move forward, right? You step back, you're going to practice some humility, you know, some conscious contact. How's what I'm getting ready to say or do to this individual or this person, or while I'm driving this car, going to affect me physically, mentally, and emotionally? How's it going to affect my family? How's it going to affect my job? How's it going to affect my living situation? And then there's where we respond. Um, and these rooms and recovery has given me that. I didn't have that attribute when I came in here at all. I didn't have that at all. And it's cool because it helps me build confidence in myself. Like I know I'm a pretty good person. Like when I really tap into my heart and my like what I'm really thinking in every situation, like I usually fight that shit because I want to be the tough guy or whatever it is. But like my natural instinct is to do the right thing every time, pretty much, unless I'm not aware of all the all of the angles of the situation, right? If I don't know all the cards in the situation, I might react to the side that I do know. But it's always with a good heart and a good intention, man. Like we don't want to be bad people, right? Like we outwardly put out what we want and how we want people to treat us, whether we know it or not. And if you're just an asshole constantly, like there's no way that you're gonna treat other people like a nice person when you're a complete dick the whole time and think that like you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't work. It's wild to think about like how we lived that way, thinking that like it was cool when people didn't notice how we were acting and like it's crazy. It's wild. But again, we do not have a moral deficiency. We're not coming in here because we want to be complete dicks or assholes or buttheads or whatever you want to call it. It's a byproduct of the disease. It's a byproduct of the disease. Yes, you might find like a really, really nice and joyous addict every once in a while, but once you're getting into like rehab and people are putting you in rehab and you're in jail, institutions of death, there's not too many jolly people up around there, right? Like means we've come to the end of our line. Or people
There's
that
some
really
real
love
people
us.
Pleasers out there that are pretty freaking good at faking it.
Bro,
But
that's
they're
crazy.
crying themselves to sleep on a huge
Yeah, man.
pillow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, that was my answer. I thought it was a pretty good question.
I thought it was great. Okay, number two for me. In recovery, our conscience evolves not to control us, but to guide us towards the person we're becoming. What's one decision you've made recently that reflects your growing spiritual awareness?
Um, wow. Ask me that question one more time. I had an answer, then I lost it. You're muted, sir.
What's one decision you've made recently that reflects your growing spiritual awareness?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that again because this is very easy for me. I've been talking about my father a little bit on here, have I not?
Yeah, with the one with me and Brandy.
Yeah. That's the one I talked about it on, and I think on that one I said that I had spoke. I had made that ultimate decision. I had a lot of people do like everybody does every year, and I had people throughout the year sprinkled in there that always say, you talked to pops lately, you talked to your father, man. You got, and then I always get that guilt trip on like, hey, I wish I would have had a time with my father before they died and all that stuff, and yeah, it would play on my heartstrings, but it never fully engulfed me in terms of like I got to go do this. And this is something I've been praying about a lot, Milan. I've been praying about it a lot, and I've been doing a lot of work on myself in terms of this situation specifically because it's the number one thing. When you think about all those things that we had to deal with and things that we're getting through now that we're in recovering, that's a number one for me. Um, because my father is a good father. He was a really good father for in terms of how he raised me and a gentleman and he was a ladies man, one of those kind of guys, but like a good dude, man, opened the door for people and like always taught me right from wrong. Um Even when it was uncomfortable, like really good morals and values, and he worked his fucking ass off. They worked his ass off, man, to pay the bills. And I didn't know the whole time that he was a drug addict. I mean, I started getting, when I was 11, 12, and he was doing really, really hard, doing meth in front of me when I'm real, real young. Like that's tough. And I didn't know what that was back in the day. And then when he starts doing it with you and shit when you get old enough, like it taints reality. Um, because my dad is my hero. A lot of young men, that's hopefully you're fortunate enough to have a situation where that is the case for you, right? So if you're listening, because my dad was my hero, man. He was everything to me. And when that line crossed, it almost crossed like reality with fiction for me because I was real young and it went from zero to hero on the like this might be okay to be doing this kind of stuff. And all my friends that I used to like stay away from that were doing it because I was like an athlete. I was like, I knew not to stay around the kids that were doing drugs. Like they were getting arrested and carrying knives and things, doing drugs and things like that. Like it was just, there is that negative aspect. Regardless, you know that it's not the right thing to do, but then it became the easier route. And then as my father was doing it with me, and he was okay with me smoking around the house and shit like that, like I would go home and I would go there and pound like just food out that like eating the door handle off the refrigerator before I got into the refrigerator, man. Like I'll be eating shit constantly. So my father, there's a lot. It's very layered because he's really a good dude and he really does love me. But I've had to literally cut ties with him like he was dead almost for years, and I have made that decision where I actually did reach out to him on Father's Day, and then I've been speaking with him. I've had a day off here this past day or two, but I told him I was just busy, and I'll be able to tap in with him tomorrow because I'm off tomorrow. I got that weird day off tomorrow, but bro, I feel a lot better now, man. We were able to really have a lot of really good talks, Milan, and I feel like there's a weight lifted off my shoulders, and that shows me at least that I'm growing spiritually and that this thing is not about me anymore. Like we work these steps and all those steps that we work are all about getting rid of self problems and our shortcomings and all that shit. And at the end, you realize that the unconditional love piece in step 12, man, it's all about service and being of service to others. And that's how you stay well. And that's how this thing is so beautiful. It allows us to make amends to those people that we never, ever, 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 ever thought possible, man. You know what I mean? That shit can come back for you if you want it to, if you want it to. And so that's where I'm at with it, man. And I thank you for asking me that. I
Yep,
appreciate you for asking me that.
I love that. In recovery, our conscience evolves, not to control us, but to guide us towards the person we're becoming. What's one decision you've made recently that reflects my growing spiritual awareness? Man, I feel like there's a bunch of different things coming up for me here. Um, you know, I would say though the most recent was approaching someone yesterday, a good friend, about coming to a meeting with me today. And like I had a feeling that they wanted to come, right? But they weren't going to come. Like they weren't going to come out and ask for it. Like they're not quite at the what I would call the admission stage. Not about the powerless, but just the admission of where things are at inside their life. Like is their life unmanageable, or are they an alcoholic or an addict or whatever it is? And so, I feel that for myself, like what's the one decision I made recently that reflects my growing spiritual awareness was that it was worth more to me to try to help someone who needed it than to just be quiet and not and like spare them some kind of embarrassment or something by asking them. you
Yeah.
know like it's more important to me that you get help than it is that like I'm dancing around on eggshells with an
Yeah.
ego,
Yeah.
like your ego's less important to me than your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you getting shot down or like the fear of rejection that
I
pales in
had no
comparison
fear
to
of rejection.
that's
I was
beautiful.
like, I'm going either way. Like, but if you want to, like,
And bro, that is a hurdle in itself because a lot of us come in here with that fear. Like I still have fear of rejection, man, and a lot of things
yeah.
that I do.
And it was amazing. Like one thing I've seen in the last week, like my daughter's come to a meeting, right? And now
Beautiful.
this other friend today is that, man, you go into a meeting and you're like, hi, this is whoever, like I love them and this is their first meeting. Man,
Oh,
you want to watch how loving the mother hens out there can be, and even the grandfather hens, you know,
that's so
like,
sick.
it's just like almost gonna cry right now. Like I can't,
Palpable.
I like it's visual, it's emotional. It's just like everybody wants them to know that they sat in that chair on a day just like this at some point.
Beautiful, man.
And that's the one thing, like that's the one thing that it's just that we share. We
Yeah.
all share that first moment,
Yeah,
you
man.
know and and that's what I was saying the other week, like how we act at that person's very first meeting is life or death. Like your mannerisms, your lack of selfishness, your compassion, your hospitality is life or death for that person.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
attraction rather than promotion.
Yeah.
It's we got to watch how we talk to each other in here. We just prayed all these people in here, praying these newcomers in here. Why are we going to talk to each other outside of those newcomers like we do? Run them out of here. We just did a lot of praying to get these people in here.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
What daily tools, Milan, Step 10 Starsick, do you use to stay conscious?
Okay, sleep. Sleep first of all. Like sleep for sure. Exercise, diet, and that is far from perfect. That is far from perfect, but it's way better than when I used to be like Ice Cream Jones before bed. Like, like that was just. And then meditation, prayer, service. Like I was just saying that to my friend today on the way back from the meeting, is that, you know, our disease is the most self-serving, self-centered, selfish state you're going to be in. And the very greatest way to not be acting selfishly is a true act of service, even if it's just because it distracts you from yourself long enough, you know?
Yeah.
And so service, like I pack as pretty much service as I have time for in between every other crazy aspect of my life, you know?
Yeah.
And then another thing I do is I try to continue learning. Like I I'm a seeker. I try to take that information and make my knowledge of all of this greater. And part of that comes from these podcasts, man. I learn so much all the time. Like there's just I don't think there's many other people who have like 5 2-hour recovery talks per week. Like,
Nope. I only have 2 or 3.
and I'm
Ugh.
like, and I'm just like loving it. It's just like coming from all directions. I'm like, I'm going to the AA conference this week and I am so stoked to go, but I'm like, what am I going to do without doing a podcast for 5 days? Like, I'm like, seriously, like, this is insane. Like, there's an insanity to that I'm just almost afraid of.
He's gonna be sitting in a room full of 50,000 other addicts. He'd be thinking about a podcast with Andrew.
Yeah. It's
Maybe my guy. What is my guy doing? Does he have
I'll
time
be
to do a
like sitting out
podcast?
on the pier with my phone recording a
He's like,
podcast.
if I were doing one right now, what would I be saying?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool. That's cool though. I kind of get that way too. Just like you hit me up because it was your birthday on Friday or whatever, and then it was like, and happy birthday, by the way. I love you.
Thank you. I love you
You
too.
young handsome man, you. And then so we kind of did it impromptu on this because I think we were like fiending. We're like fiending for some
Yeah. I
podcast.
was like, well, I can't Saturday, but we can Sunday.
Yeah, and then we worked it out, man, and we're staying conscious while we're doing this, man. I'm
Yeah.
happy about it. Where we at?
We are at,
I think I got to answer the question.
I think you've
Maybe.
got to answer it. Yeah.
I think so. What daily tools do I use to stay conscious? Staying conscious in recovery is for me is kind of like my if I'm a spiritual being, then I have a spiritual muscle, and so like staying keeping that muscle fit, that spiritual muscle tapped in and fit and ready for battle at all times. That's kind of how I look at using my tools and what I'm doing with my tools. And like a big part of that is prayer. Can't talk about prayer enough. Good things happen to people who pray and are prayed for. That is a fact. Whenever I pray about something, it gets easier immediately, or at least the natural flow of life. That answer comes to me in that natural flow of life, and I'm not fighting. I'm fighting the waves to get that answer. And so prayer. I got to get better with meditation. I'm receiving my answers, but I'm hearing that if I can learn how to meditate a little better, which I do practice breathing techniques and things like that, but if I can practice specific meditation better, which is a part of my program that I can improve greatly upon, which I'm excited about. But that's where I'm hearing that like I'm going to hear those answers a little bit more fluid, in a more fluid way. I'm going to hear the answers that I need and not just have to have them arrive at my doorstep in that natural flow of life. Like I might get the answers before I even go and tackle my day. So I'm excited to tap into that. With that being said, I write. I have books. I have little journal. Man, I got I got a red one. I got a blue one. I got a big one. I got a small one. I got shit that I write in constantly, and every one of them have different little their little areas of my life that I'm either having to improve or I got to stay organized in. Because I'm an unorganized bastard. I'm just an unorganized dude, just by nature. Like I was born that way, I think. And I have a lot of other attributes that are tackling that unorganization, that make me a well-balanced individual today, where I am, organized, and I am tapped in a strategic way, and I'm not just throwing shit up against the wall to see what sticks every day and all day. I talk with my sponsor and any of my trusted NA friends, get on a podcast, what we're doing right here. The best way out of my head is a simple conversation. It doesn't even have to be with another addict. Yeah, most of my friends are addicts, but if I'm chumming it up with the neighbor across the street about the grass, I'm not in my head. I'm not in my head. That's a tool. Talking, communication. That's what we do in this this podcast. We're communicating, right? And then what we're communicating becomes our reality. Like what I'm talking about right now is my focus. You can best believe that what my mind is focusing on is what is coming out of my mouth right now, and nothing else. Because when we're talking, like we can't really be thinking about 50 other things when we're actively, I'm very attentive. This is a podcast. This thing is being recorded. So I'm extremely attentive at this point, right? Like like my brain is focused on exactly what's coming out of my mouth, and that becomes my reality. Like if I was sitting here talking about a bunch of bullshit, that's what's going to be the rest of my day. It's going to be a bunch of bullshit. We talked about, what did we talk about? Enthusiasm the other day. We were lunatics when we came in here. We turned right into enthusiastic chums, man. When we came in here, we just started talking about it. It became our reality. It became my conscious at that point. Like I was consciously connected to enthusiasm for 2 hours talking to you and staying clean while I was doing it and having a blast. How much money do we pay to get in this club? None. Yeah. So you tell me, Milan. You tell me, man. I can go anywhere in the world and feel at home for not a dollar in my pocket. So these meetings, I wear these meetings out. That's another tool I use. This literature, the meetings, the literature, I wear this literature out, man. I read it because it's about me, and I wrote it. And I have a lot of questions about myself, but I'm finding out where all these answers are, man. And my sponsor points me in the right direction, and it gives me I got like a table of contents of my world. When I need some guidance in a decision, whether it's one of you that I trust to beat me up spiritually, or it's the literature, which can always beat me up spiritually. Shit, I wrote it again about me, for me. Bro, the answers are there, and it's written, it's copyrighted, it's been rewrited, and I trust it with my life, man, because it's worked for hundreds of thousands of people doing the same shit I'm doing every day, staying clean, going through hell, clean. So, did that answer the question? I don't even know. You're muted again, though, brother.
Okay, here we go. Conscience is the bridge between our intentions and our actions. It calls us to alignment. Where in your life do your actions now reflect your values more than ever before?
Wow. Bro, I'm an honest person today. I used to, man, everything was really a lie because nobody knew I was doing drugs, and I was a functioning person doing a lot of drugs. And as it came later on in that, like I was just lying, cheating, stealing my way through every day. I was living a just for today program in active addiction. I was just trying to stay alive just for today. I think that's why it's so beautiful. This is a just for today program, because literally we lived just for today back then. I did. And
I
now
didn't
when
live in today at all.
I meant I was just trying to survive just
Yeah,
for that
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Right? That's the worst where my head goes. Do I have enough drugs to get me to where I can go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow? Like I was just trying to survive each day. And then when we spin it around to the positive part and staying clean, it's like we have a problem doing it, picking up the phone to call those hope dealers, right? We're not calling dope dealers, but we got a problem calling those hope dealers. So fuck, man, I start talking and I can't even remember the question. What was your question again? My fault,
Where
buddy.
in your life do your actions now reflect your
Honest.
values more than
Yes.
ever before?
So I'm building on just the notion of being an honest person. Like my work, like my value at my work has gone up tenfold, because as I'm staying conscious, I'm kind of even though I might not like certain people, I'm trying to approach everything with empathy. Not sympathy, but empathy. Like my boss lady, who is from a different country and just really doesn't understand America and all that shit. Like I've turned that around to, like, her and I are like almost best friends now. Like, and I'm keeping that real close to the heart and the best, but like I've really won this war in terms of I've really bit my tongue and done things that I back in the day would have bro, I wouldn't even be working here if it was back in the day. Like I would just make rash decisions, and I've gotten close a couple times where it's like customers or she said something or looked at me a certain way, and I just could not deal with what just happened and why she thought she could do that. Um, but I've really been able to just that pause button that I have and being able to just be honest. I don't go into anything being able to think that lying is a way out. I don't have that as an as a go-to anymore. Like when I think about what I need to say or do, lying doesn't start. It doesn't come in the equation for me. And I never thought that was going to be possible for me because I was just trying to survive, man. Survival mode, man. Fuck that shit. Your answer. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that was awesome. I thought that that was great, the lady from your work, because that has been something that has, that I've seen the tests.
Duh.
Conscience is the bridge between our intentions and our actions. It calls us to alignment. Where in my life do my actions now reflect my values more than ever before? Sorry,
It,
just like all of a sudden hit some fatigue button.
oh,
Oh, okay. So, I think that I have an entirely different way that I'm trying to act and interact with people. And like when I see like where do my actions now reflect my values? Like I think that I was people pleasingly nice before. I was transactionally nice before.
yeah.
And now I truly have a desire to have compassion for other people and to actually try to be of service. Like, I think that in my interactions with other people, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, that is not my statement. But now I really feel that those actions and my approach and what I'm feeling inside for my intentions are closer than ever before, especially in some circumstances. I mean, as far as I am capable of doing and feeling, sometimes they're in pure alignment, like, and that's not bragging, that's just saying that I've had that feeling of integrity and know what it feels like now. And and that's the one thing I loved about the definition when I was looking it up in the beginning is that, when it says it's about an evolving sense of integrity, being who we are and what we do being the same. Like if we had like an interview with Milan and I'm like saying I am this person, and then you trail me with the camera in like my most secret moments for a couple months, do those line up? Like
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm falling short some places, but I'm falling short. I'm closer than I've ever been in my life, and that's growing.
Yeah.
And some of it is just what I see and how I see things.
Yeah, you're not
Like,
doing it on purpose. If you fall short, it's not like you're
yeah,
doing that on purpose.
no, exactly. Exactly. And so,
That's the difference.
yeah, so I think definitely it's in how I deal with people and how I act with people and how I respond to people and how I talk to people on things I do for them.
I have to tell you something, man.
Mm,
I love you.
I love you too.
Yeah, man. It's a powerful word, love. Love you, bro.
Yeah,
I
it
seriously
is.
do, man.
Me
So I'm gonna
too.
ask you a
Yeah,
question. You ready?
I am totally ready.
How has becoming more conscious improved my relationships?
When I am more conscious, I am able to be present for people. And that's the bottom line is that then people feel heard, people feel interacted with, people feel loved. And, that's not all day, every day, but it's definitely at a higher ratio than it's ever been in my life, and also when I'm conscious, like when I can bring myself to the present moment, there's a good chance that all these awesome things can radiate from inside me, like love and acceptance and tolerance. Why? Because I'm actually here for this moment now. And that's just something that for decades I wasn't. I was either like living in the past, good or bad. Like I remember sometimes coming out of like a big party and just like reminiscing about that rave for like a month. I was like not here. I was still back there in the midst of that party. But also, and just anxious about the future, upcoming things that I had procrastinated or neglected or whatever, and the consequences that would come up for that.
Yeah.
And now, hopefully, I'm here to love now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, I know you are here to love now because I'm not going to let you not. I love you. So how has becoming more conscious improve my relationships? Well, it's completely transformed the way I show up in my relationships. I actually do show up. I was like I've referred to before. I was the maybe man, like literally, I was the maybe man. And I'm talking about people who most of the time didn't show up were calling me the maybe man. So I was like the maybe man's maybe man. And I
You
was
was
just a
like the
self.
real occasional fellow.
I was. Yeah, but that self-centered piece, man, that's the core of my disease, is what I'm told. I was a self-centered bastard, man. And I wasn't, and I was only doing it because I didn't want to feel like I was gonna die. Like I didn't want to get to the end of that rope. I didn't want to come to terms with like, hey, pops, hey, mom, like I got a problem. I knew it deep down. I just didn't know how to say it enough, like be self-aware enough. And I didn't have any courage. I wasn't a courageous person, man. It takes a lot of courage to do and get treatment and get help. Um, and so in my relationships, when I come to the table, I can actually sit and listen and not listen for the things that I want to hear that I can pray on. Right. I used to remember sitting down with loved ones and in my head mapping out what I needed to hear out of them. Are you with me on that? Like can you relate to that? Where like let's say you needed some money out of somebody. Like you're gonna hear everything that you need to hear out of everything they say. The rest is gonna go away, but you're gonna hear the certain words in there that you can pray on, so you can get that money, or you can get that car, or you can get that thing, and that's all you focus on. You literally focus on the trouble words in there that you can pray on to get their vehicle, to get whatever that thing is that you need out of them, and that's terrible, man. It's terrible, man. So I actually can listen, understand and know that I listened to him yesterday. I'm going to listen to him tomorrow, and I can have compassion when I listen for people today. Again, feeling empathy, not sympathy. Put myself in somebody's shoes, man. My mother's not feeling well. Like I'm going to really, really have compassion for her, right? Like she's the most special person in my life. Other than like my fiance and other things like that. Like she's the number one. So I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for her. So I can have compassion for people who have been through this war with me. I can allow them in. I can allow them in to who I am now as a real man. The people that they've been looking for my whole life. They've been looking for this dude for 40 fucking years, man. This guy that I've been for 3 years now, they've been looking for that dude for a long time. So I can come to the table with that man present. My man, my main man, Andrew, is present.
That's right.
You know
I
what I
just
mean?
thought of a really funny thing, dude.
What?
We were professional people pleasers, and our best customers were ourselves.
Bro, that's like you're really digging that whole thing, because if you're people pleasing, you're lying to yourself. And if you're people pleasing to yourself, that's like shooting yourself in the face with two guns.
I know
That's
it was,
crazy.
but,
That's
but like I
crazy.
mean, seriously, like I think
I
we were.
agree. I agree, man.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. So, my works, so being conscious today means that like I completely understand that my words and my actions can affect other people. And then when they do affect other people, how do they affect other people? And then my feelings, my gut, I'm gonna lean into the being healthy and doing the spiritual principle thing in that situation today, because I've been doing it for a little while now, and it's not uncomfortable to me anymore to understand that that person might be hurt by my actions. And it still doesn't mean that I'm going to make all the right decisions. But then when I do make the wrong decision, I can go, man, I know I hurt that person. And it really plays on my heart. And then if I don't make that amends, if I don't do that daily inventory, if I don't reach out, it's going to prey on my insides, man. And then I might have paperwork to do, or I might like think that using is a little easier than like dealing with that problem with that person. And a lot of times what I've seen is like, I thought that people had all these negative thoughts about me, and they just really loved me and just wanted me to be better. Like they could clearly see that I had a substance problem. And I had pushed them away so much that I couldn't even be connected enough to know that they just really loved me enough to want me to be better, because they knew I could come back from this thing. They knew I was strong enough to do this if I could just get over myself. Um, and so, staying out of my self-will today allows me to stay consciously connected and stay in that peaceful place that I look for, that peaceful place, which allows me to come to the table. When I say I'm going to come to the table, it allows me to reflect on my process in every situation. When I'm chaotic in my brain, I got half that brain selling bullshit, the other half's buying it. I'm not peaceful to reflect on shit, man. I'm just trying to get through the chaos, So when I find myself there, I pray and I get connected. I get back tapped into the things that are making my wheels spin today. And that's these meetings, this fellowship, recovery, this podcast, my people today, my tribe. I can go anywhere. I can talk to anybody at any time and get out of my head, man. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to know that that's my out today. I'm grateful to know that that's what my disease doesn't want me to do, and I'm really good at doing that, right? I'm really good at doing what my disease does not want me to do, man. This disease wrote the step work. It wrote the book, it wrote the literature, it wrote everything. So I got to be better than the disease, man, because I just let him beat me up for 25 years, man. So it's it's my turn to win. It's my turn to win this war, man. It's my turn. So I empower myself today to do that. Didn't answer the question, I don't think, again, but that's okay. And I love you.
I love you too. It's my turn to ask, right?
Think so.
Yeah, I do believe so. The more we listen to our conscience, the less we live in confusion, the more we walk in peace. What inner conflict has quieted because you chose to follow your conscience?
Um, so an inner conflict. Wow. So I get worked up a lot, man. I get worked up like because I'm not using anymore. Like again, I'll force myself to be late. Like the earlier I'll wake up, the later I'll be. And that's where I realized like I got a real I got a real problem with that. I got a real problem. Like it's a sick problem that I have now. Now, like when I look at it as like terms of this grand scheme and all the things that could be wrong with me, and that's my main thing. Like I'm all right with that. Um, Now if that bleeds over into other things, then I need to address that. But I'm not so hard on myself for these things, man, because I know like if I'm 100%, if my goodwill and my good actions are 100% of a business, I know 80% of what I'm doing is going towards the good stuff in my life. If there's another 20% that are my shortcomings and my character defects, I'm told this disease isn't going anywhere. So I'm pretty sure all my character defects are not ever going to go anywhere. I don't want to ever feel like I got this thing nipped in the bud. Whether it's the recovery aspect or it's the principles that I'm trying to work into my life in and outside of recovery, or it's just me being who I am as a dude. Like I just want to stay tapped into what I'm learning. When I start trying to focus on the things that I'm not learning actively and actively reading, then I know I'm going down the wrong path, and I'm starting to get disconnected, and I'm starting to get chaotic in my brain, because when I run on autopilot, those are the things that I'm looking for. Those are the things that I'm looking for. When the shit got tough, that's where I go. And so, being of service to myself, to the group, to the meetings, coming in here and, sharpening my tool bag. Look, we come in here and we talk about these spiritual principles. We've done 127. I haven't been in every episode. I've been in a lot. But this program has allowed me to really, really hone in on these really, really important things that bring people joy every day, that allow people to live in a lane that, they might be up or down or whatever, but that's that serene 6 or 7 when people are walking around holding hands, smiling, and it might be raining on them, and they don't have any gas, but they're happy. And it's like, those are the things that I'm starting to get more and more in my life that I'm able to like actually grab onto and actually punch the clock and be like, hey man, we're happy people today. And I might not want to punch out. Might want to stay here all day. I might want to get my 8 hours in this happy place. I used to like the happy place there was none of that. So yeah, man, I love you, man. I think that was it.
I love you too. Okay, so the more we listen to our conscience, the less we live in confusion, the more we walk in peace. What inner conflict is quieted because I chose to follow my conscience? You know, I think a big one, and I know that there was this element of me that knew right from wrong, but there was just part of me that was like, it might be wrong in that way, but like I used to have this, like, I would call it the excuse maker, and the excuse maker was like my rationalizer for whatever hurtful action I needed to embark on to experience whatever sensation I wanted. I mean, whether it was drugs, whether it was sex, whatever it was, that rationalizer was always there with a quick excuse to get me through that minute, and and that lasted like strongly in the minute. But the next day was when the inner war conflict of guilt and anxiety and all shame
Mm-hmm.
and all that would be going on. And so, like for me, like that has quieted so much because I'm not doing as hurtful of things or not trying to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why? Because I'm following my conscience when it's like, that's going to hurt someone. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Or that's hurt someone. Stop now and do a little step 10 while you're still talking to
Ooh, September Starcic.
them. Like, it's just, there's now the little step 10 angel sitting on my shoulder that's like,
It's like
make,
hallelujah,
make an
hallelujah,
amends, Milan.
making
You'll
amends,
sleep
making
better
amends,
tonight.
making amends, making amends
And,
now.
and, and in all respects, I am sleeping better than I've slept in years. I'm not a great sleeper, but I am sleeping better than I've slept in decades.
Yeah.
And, that inner battle about right or wrong, like, it was one of my favorite things that my friend young Gabriel said to me. Like if you want to be acting in your higher power's will or your will, it's like, here's the principles. If you're inside all these principles, odds are you're doing a good thing.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty easy to line up your words or your actions. Once, like, I mean, like Andrew was saying, we talk about these principles on the show all the time. There's a pretty slim chance I don't know what sincerity means after last week, or compassion or tolerance or whatever one it is, and even today I'm learning two for the price of one.
It's a twofer, guys, twofer.
Yeah, but the thing is though is that it's easy for me to say, oh, I'm being intolerant, or I'm not living in acceptance, or man, that was some acceptance that I never had before.
Yeah.
Both sides of it. Both there
Amen.
is, like I would like to think I'm not just living in defects completely, and I don't think I am,
Yeah.
and I don't think I'm a saint by any means, and I don't think I'm perfect. That is not what I'm saying, but I think I'm making some healthier choices for me and the people around me.
Yep. Yep. And then look, this reminds me of one of my sayings: mistreating people and then avoiding communication is not protecting your peace; it's avoiding accountability.
Yeah,
You like that?
boom. Yeah, I do like
We're
that.
just not we're just not bad to people today, and not like we're not like, and then but we're accountable when we are most of the time. It's pretty cool
Mm.
because when we feel bad, we don't want to sit in that shit anymore, man. I don't.
I definitely don't. I need to clear air. I need
Yeah.
to clear air with people I love because I don't want that sitting there. It's like I don't poop in my pants and sit there all day. Like, like,
Hold on. You don't do that?
well, not like when I'm wearing my pants,
I'm
but
the only
more
one.
when someone's pants, man.
You ready? You ready for
Yeah,
my question?
I
So
certainly.
what role does your HP or higher power, Mr. Milan, play in your consciousness today?
I would say that it's kind of like the parent that tells you when you're a kid or whatever. It's like it's first of all, it's who I'm asking for guidance from, and it's also who I'm thanking, and also, you know, I think in a lot of ways where that feeling is coming from of, doing the next right thing, really. I
Yeah.
think for me it's part of my prayer, right?
Hmm.
And hopefully it's also part of my shortcoming removals,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
I
I
think
mean if
it's
I'm surrendering it to anybody, that's where I'm surrendering it to
he's
my
the trash
universe.
man. It's the trash
Yeah,
man. He comes and
yeah,
picks it up.
yeah.
Every day he's picking it up. Um,
Hmm.
is that your answer?
Yeah, I think that's my answer. I mean,
I
I,
love
I
you.
just I just think that's kind of exactly
Sweet,
what part
short
it
and sweet.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at. It plays a central role. It has turned into, what role does my higher power play in my consciousness today? I'm told that if I'm not consciously connected, like I'm not staying present, I'm not tapped into him, like it all rolls into one. So it's like it's the source for me, like it's the sun. It's to the universe, right? Like it's the source of energy for me. Um, I was living in active addiction. I mean, like the drugs were my source. That's my source of everything and consciousness and all that shit. It wasn't my higher power, it was the drugs. That was my what is it? God, I always forget this word. What is it? Not practical. What's the opposite of practical? It was my artificial means to gain my spiritual intelligence, if you will. It's my artificial means. I was using a substance that maybe somebody was throwing together in their bathroom to get tapped in to all that. Nope. Nope. So now I have that, because I'm not using drugs. That's number one. If you want to get a God or get some kind of higher power, something a little greater than you got to cut the substances out, man. You got to, as an addict. Like, if you're not an addict, then don't hear what I'm saying. Don't worry about it. Because if you can just like use and not use, like you're not an addict. It's fine. Still listen to the program because you can learn about sincerity and all this other stuff. But um, yeah, I'm an addict. I'm an addict of more. I don't have a problem with drugs. I have a problem with more. I have a problem with my attitude and my thinking. I have a diseased way of thinking. Like my brain will not function properly when I'm in that kind of a situation. So and I have shown myself to be true to that every time, when I'm put up against that. So um I'm just living a whole new way of life today. Not everything revolves around me. Everything used to be me revolving around me, and like if I didn't feel good, the situation wasn't right. Well, now I blend into the situation because it's God's situation, man. It's God made that situation. I'm gonna step into it as if God wanted me to be there in that painting, right? Not like I'm not even a part of this painting. I'm gonna be a part of the Picasso, man. I want to be flying in there like an angel, like a part of the painting. You can kind of see me, you kind of can't. I don't want to be this dude that's just like black and other colors that are opposite of the whole painting, and just being a standoffish person. I'm gonna be part of the painting today. I'm gonna be flowing in with the current and swimming with the water, not against it. I remember as a kid, like trying to swim against that current, and it was real tough, man. It was real tough, man. And I remember like being out like on the beach, and my parents were like a mile down that way, and I'm trying to swim towards them. It's a lot easier to just flow with the current. There's a lot of people that have been doing this for a long time that are sitting in these rooms and are waiting to take your hand and to help you and answer those questions that you've always had about yourself. And so challenge yourself to come in here and answer and ask those questions and get a little raw with yourself. You might get those answers and you might hear your story. You might hear it immediately, because a lot of us have dealt with these things that you're thinking about that you haven't, that nobody else has dealt with. I promise you somebody has. You'll hear your story in here, man. And then once you can relate to somebody and know that, like, hey, like they're doing the same thing I was doing, came from the same background I did, like this thing becomes a little more doable for you. And part of that is staying conscious to like our recovery, conscious to like something else going on upstairs, because that's all we need, man. I need one other person, a God in my life, a higher power in myself, belief in myself, and I can, if I do decide to just stay clean, I'll stay clean the rest of my life. That's what I plan to do, Milan, with your help and all y'all's help, man, all my people's. So,
Love you.
love you, man. Love you back, bro.
Okay, so I think I've got a question now, right?
I think you do.
Okay. When
Mm-hmm.
we practice daily inventory, we tune our conscience like a spiritual instrument, fine tuning our awareness and our action. How has step 10 helped you stay sensitive to the quiet truths inside?
Well, Milan has helped me out in many ways. His name is Step 10, so Milan has helped me out in a lot of ways. He's a good friend of mine. Oh, you meant the actual Step 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, my daily inventory, bro. That's my ace in the hole. I've referred to this a few times. Like when I sit down at the end of my day and it's like this load that I'm dealing with. I've been doing a lot of writing throughout the day, so I'm already organized in my thoughts on what I like need to do and what I think I've done and what I need to tackle mentally, whatever. But that step 10, that daily step 10, man, I can literally process what I went through that day. I can process how I mentally want to show up going to sleep and how I want to wake up the next day. Like I can leave on my table something for the morning. If I want to tackle it in the morning, I can process why that's going to be good for me and why it's not. And then I can unload that shit, man. I can drop it off at the trash man and they're going to come pick it up. I got a little hairy God box right here. Where's my little thing? It's over on my other desk. I got that as like my backup. That's my backup. If I can't surrender this thing, I put it in the hairy God box and it gets incinerated, and so this is a program of surrender, not self-improvement, guys and
Boop,
gals.
boop.
Tom, I love you, bro. You changed my life with that one. I have been able to out surrender this thing, and it's getting a little easier, a little faster,
Isn't it
and
getting easier? Like, it's crazy.
quicker. And I don't mean like now, but I mean like it's getting more. It's getting easier, like just naturally, right?
Mhm.
um Surrendering, the surrender process, which you got to be able to surrender. That's why people, when they come in here and they say they don't have a God and they haven't been working steps, work the damn step. Try to work them. Why not just try? It's guaranteed if you work them, you're going to get a spiritual awakening. What that means to me is you're going to be able to tap into something a little bigger than you. That's all we need. That's all we need to be like, all right, we can work with that. We can work with that. um but this thing is so it's all encompassing, man. It's like if you're looking for the reasons why this thing is going to work, guys, you're going to find them. There's all of those, and if you're looking for reasons why it's not, like, you won't be here long. And praying for other people, praying for someone else that you might not fancy very much, and then when something good happens to them, it'll change your life. It'll change the way you see things. It'll change your conscious contact to everything. You can make yourself miserable, you can make yourself strong. It's the same amount of work. So
I love that.
we love you, bro.
Okay, when we practice daily inventory, we tune our conscience like a spiritual instrument, fine tuning our awareness and our action. Ooh. Okay, so how has step 10 helped me stay sensitive to the quiet truths inside?
Gave me a name. I'm just kidding.
Like, it really, honestly, it it has it has that fractional power of your step 4, but every day, and it really allows me sometimes to stop, see where my wins are, and see where my losses are, and actually, like, am I actually doing what it is that I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
Like my example earlier with surrender, it came right down. Like it came right down to like, am I actually surrendering stuff? And so if not, am I okay with just being a non-surrenderer? Or do I actually want the change? Because the pain and discomfort of that change is going to come whenever the change happens. You know,
Yes.
it hurts to build the scar and it hurts to tear the scar off the heart. Like both ends
Yeah.
of that hurt. And change is not easy. You know, we get pretty used to who we are. Like we kind of like thought it. We're like, yeah, that pain's there, but it's kind of a dull ache. It's not like a duct tape band-aid rip, you know. And
Out in
it's
the
true though.
bush.
Like, and so for myself, the step 10 really is like, is it fantasy or is it reality? And that to me is so integral for me to be feeling that I'm living in a reality now, because when I came in and started doing the step work, I saw how deep my delusions were. And when my delusions were that deep, it really left me feeling like kind of foolish and stupid like I was such a slicky boy. I fooled myself thoroughly. Like
Sticky boy, sticky boy.
and and that left me feeling like, well, what do I really know about myself, my life, and who I am? And so now the only way I feel like I know who I am is if my actions and my principles are lining up. That's the only way. Like when I was saying how much I liked that one sentence that contained integrity, an evolving sense of integrity, because I never had that sense of integrity. It was either falling way short of my morals, or I just wasn't even, like, it was just an outright dishonesty. Like
Yeah, man.
I was saying I was doing it, but I wasn't doing it. There was times where I was trying for stuff in whatever way, and I just didn't have the strength to make that right choice at that time. Like I can honestly say that there was times where I really didn't want to do drugs, but the physical addiction was winning at that point. And and I don't look at that like I was some weak person. Like it was just the point that things had gotten to in my life. But now that I'm not in that, I don't have anybody else to blame for what I'm doing.
Yeah. It's on you.
Yeah,
Yep. You ready for a
that's it.
question?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready.
How do you use consciousness to handle conflict or emotional pain today?
Okay, I think I'm gonna say that I use consciousness to keep me from throwing the past into the situation,
Mm.
and also to try and not be living in expectations with someone in that moment, you know, because if I'm here right now, I can only look at what you're doing right now and my reaction to it. And so a lot of times, it might be taking a pause. That might be my choice. But at least it's not just me turning this into some long term resentment thing. Like I still I feel that, I'm still growing enough in my consciousness that I need to reflect on moments in order to get a proper perspective. And sometimes I need to talk. Like when we talk, or I'm talking to Gabriel, or whatever. There's just times where I need to reflect on it in order to see what was I doing there, what was my motive there. Really, how would what I did feel with that person. You know, And and I haven't taken a baseball bat to anybody.
It's a good thing. That's a
Yeah,
positive. That's a
it's a
positive.
positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's some days that's a win.
So, all right, I'll ask myself, so how do I use consciousness to handle conflict or emotional pain today? Well, that's a real good question, Andrew. I've learned, I don't run away from pain today, and awareness is like a gateway to healing for me today. Like if I'm aware of the situation, whether it's, you got emotional pain, you got all this stuff that hits our plate. But pain doesn't go away. Right, like it'll pass, but like pain doesn't go away by avoiding it, right? Like you can't avoid pain or a painful situation and think that it's just gonna like be like, all right, man, I'm tired of waiting on your ass to acknowledge me. um like we've got to do some work to make that pain go away, right? And so when I'm staying connected, and I'm able to understand what that pain is, staying aware of like what it is that's causing me this pain, understand it and respond to it with spiritual principles, I'm gonna be all right on the back end of this thing. You know, when I face some kind of emotional pain, like grief, fear, whatever it is, my first step is just actually noticing it, right? A lot of times I used to just like blow through it, blow around it, and hopefully like that thing in the closet wasn't gonna pop out at some point. Like I can actually sit it down on the table and go, okay, this is what this thing looks like, right? Like whatever it is. And then I can uh be aware of it, be aware of my act as it relates to it, right? Why am I feeling like this? Why is this sitting on my table, right? Why am I having to deal with this right now? um but it's a teacher, you know what I mean? It's a teacher, it's kind of strange. But I lean into the pain today, man, because I know it's going to pass. I know that if I'm aware of it, if I lean into it head on, like I'm going to have to lean into it whether somebody forces me to do it or I do it on my own. So I empower myself to do it on my own instead of having somebody try to tell me how to do it, because then I'm dealing with like my pride and ego. Like they told me to do something and I want to do it on my own. Like just do it on my own. Like I just should do that on my own today, so I don't have that second layer of like addict behavior, possibly one to leak in there. But it helps me to see the message, inside of the discomfort. Does that make sense? Like there's a message inside that discomfort somewhere, whether it's something that I did leading into that situation or something somebody did to me, or maybe I acted unaccordingly, or just we're not, whatever the other situation and I are just not meeting sides. But it allows me to put my finger on that discomfort and know why, um, what the message of that discomfort is trying to teach me, and then I can learn from that. Does that make sense? I hope that kind of makes a little sense. Like there's a like in that discomfort, there's a message wrapped in an ugly bow. And you just got to find that bow and just kind of unravel it, and then once you see the message of that discomfort, by that time you see the message, it's usually past. And those are kind of two in one, because you're getting the message, you're getting the answer, and you're getting relief at the same time. So it's kind of like it's right there with the higher power, man. I'm telling you, stay tapped in, and that all that shit will work the way it's supposed to. For me, I don't know.
I love that.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Okay,
How much
so
more time you got?
I've got another half hour max.
I don't have a half hour. I got like 15.
Where is that 17?
It always is. It always is.
Okay, how many
I'm.
questions do you have left?
I've got one more. So yeah, I've got one more question. One more
Okay,
question.
so let's just I've got two. So we'll just switch to Lightning Round now.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. Because I need to talk to you for a minute after. So if you gotta
Yeah,
go,
yeah, yeah. Let's do
yeah.
it.
Okay, so our conscience doesn't demand perfection. It asks for willingness, humility, and honesty. What imperfection are you learning to face with grace because your conscience led you there?
Me being late.
Ooh, he says it.
But look, but here's the thing. And I'm getting better with this, and I've told you it's like a roller coaster, because I go through these times where it doesn't matter. I'm late to everything. And then I've got these times where I'm early to everything. And I've been meeting myself in the middle where I'm really like on time or a couple minutes early, like every day. And I think that because I'm a big boy now, I feel like I can maybe grab onto that and ride this thing, man. I'm trying to ride this thing out. I'm not trying to go back in. I'm not trying to go back down on the downslope of this thing. I'm trying to stay in the upward trajectory. And I want to hit on this. We talked about how things are rolling around with me at the new job site, Milan. That's another thing that I'm having conflict. It's coming up where we're like, I'm supposed to be moving. You're looking into moving, getting that U-Haul, right? And I'm finally getting over the hump of my boss after 3+ years where I'm like that was my one hurdle at my work, and I love my job. But and now I'm getting over that one hurdle, and now it's like, okay, now you gotta move. It's crazy. It's
That's
fucked up.
because you got another lesson to learn somewhere else.
You
Ooh,
got another lesson to learn somewhere else.
I got lessons to learn everywhere for the rest of my life. What imperfection am I learning to face with grace because my conscience led me there? You know, I'm going to say it like my intolerance of other people. Like it has been masked with sarcasm and humor and things that, like just little comments here or there. And when I catch myself doing those now, I'm the first one to say I don't want to be doing that. Call me out on that shit. I don't want to be hurting you. I don't know. I don't even want to be subtly kind of hurting you anymore. And I'm really just sick of it. And it's kind of like with Nicolette's insurance policy when she goes somewhere and tells people she's an addict. Like, I tell people I don't want to participate in that because otherwise what'll happen is that I'll end up in the middle of a sarcastic sausage where it's just like
Sarcastic sausage.
where it's just like all of a sudden I got this big smoky and I'm chomping down sarcasm.
Are you talking about a sarcastic Starcic sausage? Is that what you're talking about?
It could be a super stellar
Oh
sarcastic
my
sausage.
God, I can't say that 5 times fast.
Yeah. Okay, you got a question?
What does the world gain when I live more consciously?
The world gains the real present me. There's a good chance that I'm going to have more serenity and I'm going to be way better to be around for you. Like I think if I'm not living presently, I'm probably living defectively, guaranteed. And I really hate jerk face, Milan. Like I really do. Like I'm just like, man, I
Beat
don't
him up if I
even
see
want to
him.
be in the same room as him.
He stinks.
He's a jerk.
He's a stinky bastard.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Andrew, what does the world gain when I'm living more? What does the world gain when I live more consciously? I thought that was a good question. The world gains more love, a lot more love. I create less harm. I'm more in line with the natural flow of life and just the weather, everything. In addiction, I was a wrecking ball. I'm a man who shows up today, no longer the maybe man. Hashtag no longer the maybe man to who's listening. When I live more consciously, I become a spiritual mirror for others, right? I can live spiritually and I can maybe allow somebody else to tap into something that they can see that I'm doing, and then they can work that into their life. And I might, I never know how far my reach goes, man. If I continue to live spiritually and stay connected, tapped in, I'll continue to stay peaceful and I'll continue to lead by example. And it's how I live with my imperfections is how I can inspire others today. It's not about how like trying to be perfect. No one's ever going to be perfect. And I belong here, man. I didn't think I belonged for a long time. And from day one, if you're here and you got the desire, you belong. So love you.
I love that. Okay, last question of the day for you, and then I'll answer too. As we heal, our conscience stops being a critic and becomes a compass. Not harsh, but clear. How has your conscience helped you navigate a difficult choice with clarity?
Well, my conscience, I was tapped into that before, I called my father. It took a lot of internal battles with myself to actually reach out. And I was trying to figure out what that final straw was, what that was holding me back. And I think it was just a little bit of that, pride in myself and not wanting to to look weak, even though I'm the stronger one in this position. That's where my head is. I'm all like stirred up in my head because I'm thinking that I'm a weak person by reaching out to this man and going out there and making effort when it's really shows my strength, right? That shows my strength, Milan. Like what's wrong with me in my head where I'm thinking that shows me as a weak person? That, is that my pride? Is it my ego? Which is not my amigo. And so me sitting here talking about it, man, is going to help me process this thing. You know what I mean? Because if it costs me my peace, bro, it's too expensive. It's too expensive, bro. And I can't live a new reality with the old mentality. So I got to change it up. I got to lean into those things that I know are going to do me good, even though it doesn't feel good. Love you. Thank
I
you.
love you too. How has my conscience helped me navigate a difficult choice with clarity? Well, my conscience now shows me where, like it says in that about it being a compass, it points me in that right direction. And even if I don't feel ready to go there, might feel tired, see myself doing something that takes me away from that direction, I clearly know now that I'm not going in that direction. And I didn't start the timer, so I'm just going to wrap it up.
That's okay.
With that, my conscience is truly showing me yes or no these days, and whether I choose yes or no, it's clear to me almost in every circumstance whether what should have been yes or no. Like I no longer have that fuge of delusion about stuff for the most part, I really think.
Beautiful, man.
So conscious and conscience, they're good friends. I'm glad we
Ham
brought
jam
them
sandwich.
together.
Ham jam sandwich, baby.
It's a hammy jammy sandwich. Oh, we're crazy.
We ate it together from opposite sides, man.
That's right. So everybody out there, tune in next episode
Love
for
you
more
guys,
recovery fun. I love you.
Love y'all.
Please help us help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.